Hello everyone. So growing up, I've always been a little bit of an entrepreneur, if I say so myself, and because of that, throughout the past couple of years, I've came up with quite a bit of schemes to try to get some money, with some of them being just complete failures, some of them being pretty good, and then some of them making me like over $10,000. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so starting out, we got the classic clothing brand slash drop shipping side hustle. Now, the reason I put both of these in the same category is because I was kind of doing the same thing at the same time. Basically, around like 2 years ago or so, I was researching a lot of ways people were starting clothing brands. You can do it a few different ways. One way is by creating your own, which is like screen printing, for example. I have tried that multiple times throughout the years, and to be honest, it is difficult. 9 times out of 10 that just comes out horrible, and I mean, it's definitely my fault, but yeah, that was just pretty much a no-go from the start. The next option is you can get custom samples made in bulk, and usually you can do this by finding people on like Alibaba from like Pakistan or China or something. So the problem with this is that you have to order these in bulk, which means they cost a lot of money, and you have to actually be able to sell them to make the profit back. So a lot of them make you order like 50 minimum samples, or basically like shirts or whatever it is, and that can run you like hundreds, thousands of dollars. And unless you get a sample, which is usually like pretty expensive, like $150, $200, whatever it is, you gotta make sure the quality is good with them and that they're trustworthy, because if not, then you'll pay for all that stuff and then you might get something back that's just complete terrible and unsellable. So you just wasted like hundreds, thousands of dollars on literally fucking nothing. So that left me with the third option, which was print on demand, or almost like drop shipping in this case. So basically with print on demand, there's these websites where you can just like upload your own image or graphic or whatever it is onto whatever product they have available, and then you can do all the customization and all that. And what they do is they ship it directly to the person who buys the product, so I never have to see the actual product myself. This is 100% the cheapest and easiest way to do it, but there are downsides. For a clothing brand, most of the quality of these items are like pretty ass, so like you can't really do like oversized like baggy t-shirts or anything. And then also the printing size of the graphics with print on demand are usually really small, so you kind of got to be creative. What I decided to do though was actually make these like anime like graphic design t-shirts. All right, I'm gonna see if I can find one real quick.
2 seconds later.
So here was a couple shirts I made that were for Evangelion. We got this one. Yeah, there you go. Also I had this one, which is kind of cool, I guess.
If I find any more, I'll put them up on screen now.
But yeah, so the cost of this was really just ordering the shirts from the website, so that way I could take my own pictures and all that. And then I had to buy a website, which was through Shopify, so that's how I hosted my website. I think at first they had like some really cheap discount, so I get it for like almost free for a couple months. And then the domain was like $20 a year, so basically just 20 bucks. So really the startup for all this was like probably under $50 or 100 bucks at most. And honestly did not think this would work. So after I made the website, I started posting these TikToks to kind of promote it, and I really didn't post that many. It was probably like 5 or less of them. I also ran some Instagram ads, which was probably like $20 to like $40 I spent in total. So with all that combined, which I basically ran for like a week or two, I made like $250, something like that. Honestly, I was pretty surprised that anyone actually like came to the store and even bought stuff, because I really didn't get that many views on like any of the TikToks or even the ads that I made. So I was actually pretty impressed with that. Honestly, don't even know why I stopped doing it in the first place. I low-key should start that back up. I think now that I know a little bit more about social media, I mean, I could probably even do this like 10 times better now. It is a little bit of a startup cost, but really not that much. So overall, I'd probably put this at like B tier. All right, so next up we got selling beats. Now there's this misconception going around with my YouTube name. Because the name of my main channel is 808 Savion, a lot of people thought that this was because I lived in Hawaii or something. Unfortunately, as much as I wish I did live in Hawaii, that is not the case. It was actually because I was making beats before I was doing this YouTube channel. So I've been messing around with making beats since I was like probably around like 12 years old, and I'm 19 right now, almost 20. So I've been making beats for a while. Back in like 2020, that was like my first real attempt of publishing the beats that I made. I published some of the beats on like SoundCloud, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. I even made a beat tape that I posted on Spotify. So I was doing all this for a little bit over a year, I'd say. And by the end of the year, I gained like 300 something followers on SoundCloud, over 1,000 followers on Instagram, and I even posted on Spotify with one song even reaching almost 100,000 streams. It actually still goes up slowly to this day, so I'm hoping that one day it actually does hit 100,000. And throughout that entire time, I sold a grand total of 0 beats. Maybe it was just because I was around like 14, 15, 16 around the time. I don't remember exactly, but something was not going right. Either my beats were ass, which probably yes, and then also my marketing was just straight garbage. I kind of stopped posting beats for like a couple years, and then maybe around like a year, 2 years ago, like right before I started my channel now, I started posting beats again. It was like right before I started my main channel that I have now, and when I was just trying to set everything up, like before I even posted anything on TikTok to promote it or anything, I was literally just uploading my beats on this website called Track Train with my free trial. And somehow before I promoted anything, I had gotten a sale that was like $50, and that sale right there would also be the last sale I had ever gotten. I honestly honestly don't know what happened. Like part of me thought it was like a bot or something, because I don't even know how they found the track. But from that point on, I started posting on TikTok. I gained a few hundred followers within a couple months. I had people wanting to work with me and stuff, but I couldn't actually like get any beats sold. So a lot of times I would just hand people beats or send them for free just to kind of get my name out there. I still make music to this day. I just don't really post it anymore. Maybe one day I'll pull a Joji. So like after I get like 1 million followers or something, I'll just dip and start posting music. But yeah, that day has yet to come. The most successful part of my music production career was probably the song that I had on Spotify. I made like $300 from that or something like that. But yeah, I'm sure it's partially because my beats are kind of just ass, but still selling beats is pretty hard, man. And for the amount of time that you had to put in like learning the skill and then like actually making the beats himself, honestly, I'm gonna put this at like a low D tier. I know some people are successful with it, but me personally, that shit was just not for me. All right, so for this next side hustle, we got a pretty interesting one, and this was back when I created a Minecraft server. Now this whole thing kind of actually happened on accident, but it was pretty insane. It was a very interesting moment of my life for sure. So this whole story begins with the notes app on my iPhone. Anytime I have an idea about something or something I want to try, I always just write it down so that way I can look back at it later. And now I remember one day I was just chilling at the bus stop, not having anyone to talk to. So you know what you do, you just look at the weather app, look at the time, notifications or whatever. And I found this idea that I had written, and it was to run a public Minecraft server that I would post on TikTok. So this was at the very end of the school year, and as soon as summer started, I had began this journey which lasted me the entire summer. So I started this entire journey by making a Minecraft realm, which was like $10 a month through the official Minecraft servers. And what I did was I bought this, and then I posted a TikTok that was like, hey guys, I just started a new world and we're doing an experiment where I'm gonna open it up to anyone, for absolutely anyone to play. All you had to do is literally just put this link in and join. But yeah, and low-key from that point on, it was pretty much an overnight success. I was in the server myself when I posted it, just building like a spawn or something. This was probably like 20 minutes after I had posted the TikTok, and I remember someone just randomly joined, and I was like, wait, are people actually joining now? This was the first attempt I've ever had at like running a TikTok or anything too, so it was pretty interesting to see how easy it was. But yeah, throughout the summer, I just kept posting updates on the server, just saying what was happening in the world, getting people to join. And by the time that whole realm ended, it had over 10,000 people who were in the realm. And keep in mind, you could only have like 10 people in the game at a time, so it was just constantly full at all times. Some of the TikToks did pretty good too. I had like a couple thousand views on like pretty much every TikTok. I had a few of them that did pretty good and passed like 100-200,000 views. But yeah, while it seemed like it was going pretty good, it was a fucking nightmare. Basically 24/7, I would just constantly have to be on the server, because with Bedrock Edition realms, they have absolutely no anti-cheat whatever, so people could literally just like place Bedrock and shit in the world. I don't even know how they did it, but this wasn't even like a little issue. Like this was like hundreds of people doing this pretty much 24/7. I would have to be on the server moderating, and then I would have moderators who would low-key be some bitches and start doing their own shit and then like messing up the world. And then I also had this community server which had like over 1,000 people in it, and then I'd have to manage that. People would literally send like CP and stuff into the server. Like it was an actual nightmare to run.
Hey Spawn, I know I'm banned and I understand the consequences by saying the N-word and saying it to everyone else. I am really sorry for saying it, as well as saying it as a joke, and I understand I'm banned and all of that, so alright. If you unban me, I'm very thankful and I won't do it again. I promise.
But yeah, at some point though, a little later into the summer, I decided to officially quit that Minecraft realm, and instead I started an actual Minecraft server that was hosted on Java Edition, but also worked on the Bedrock Edition as well. So while it didn't have as many players because it wasn't like as easy to access, it still did pretty good and probably had like 500 to like 1,000 people who joined in total, something like that. That server only lasted probably like a month or 2 months at most, because it was towards the end of the summer. I still had problems running it, but I mean, it wasn't nearly as bad as what it was before. I mean, literally before, people were nuking the entire world and spawning fucking lava over the world. So now I haven't gotten into the money making aspect of yet, because so far this was just me getting views and like trying to build a TikTok, which by the way, I think I had like 3,000 something followers by the end of the summer, which was really good in my opinion, considering I had like no knowledge of how to run a TikTok or anything. But the way I was trying to make money on this new server was actually through a Patreon, where people could pay and get like access to like some bonus features and stuff. So they would get like a role in this server, some cool cosmetics and whatever it is. I think I actually got like a few people to subscribe for like maybe like $5 a month, but pretty much this was like at the end of summer, so people were starting to go back to school and like everything was kind of dying down, and I got busy too. So because I wasn't on the server and like keeping it as active, people just stopped playing as much. So low-key, this was kind of a weird one. I have mixed feelings about. I've heard of other people who ran Minecraft servers, and I know some people actually do make like a lot of money from it. I'm pretty sure I saw this one YouTuber also who was actually a pretty big YouTuber and who made videos about his server, and he said in 3 years he only made like $45,000 or something around that mark. And that sounds pretty good, but I mean 3 years for and all that work, just constantly promoting the server. I don't really know if that's that good. And then I'm pretty sure he was spending a ton of money on the server too, so really his profit was probably less than that. However though, for growing like a little brand that I had just over the summer, I mean, that was extremely successful in my opinion. Even now I can't even post TikToks that do that well, and that was just because that idea that I had running at the time was just so good. It was like basically built for TikTok. So yeah, as far as like building a brand and social media and views and all that, it was pretty good. But as far as making profit and money, I might have to probably put this at like a C tier. It definitely had potential, but overall it was just a lot of work to run, and it was just very risky overall. Alright y'all, so now we're actually getting into the stuff that actually made me money. Next up, we got thumbnail designing. So I've been making YouTube videos since I was like a kid. Like literally my 8th birthday was when I posted my first video on YouTube. Over time, just playing games and stuff, I met a lot of friends, and a lot of them also happened to do YouTube as well. Because I was making these videos, I'd always have to make like channel art and thumbnail designs and stuff for my own stuff. And then at some point, I'd also have friends who would ask for stuff too. Pretty much over time, I started having friends who paid me a couple dollars to do like channel art or like thumbnails for them. And then I pretty much accidentally fell through the side hustle where people were just started asking me to do stuff for them. It started out, I'll do like channel banners and stuff for like $10. And then I remember after posting my stuff on like social media and all that, I eventually had my first big YouTuber reach out to me. At that point, I don't really think he was that big, but he probably had like 100,000 subs or something. But to me at the time, when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old, that was insane to me. So for this guy at the time, I was low-key kind of getting scammed. I was charging like $2 a thumbnail, which would take me like an hour to make. Sometimes even 2, because I'd have to go in and get the screenshots myself. But yeah, through word of mouth and just posting stuff and reaching out to people, I started getting jobs from bigger YouTubers. If any of y'all know about Call of Duty Zombies, I've pretty much worked for like every single big YouTuber in that space. In the past few years, I started taking it like even more seriously, like basically like with the goal of doing it full time. So I've gotten some pretty good jobs just doing thumbnail design. And back when I started, thumbnail designing wasn't even like really a thing at the time. So I got really lucky that I got into it back then, because now it's starting to get pretty oversaturated and there's a lot of people doing it now. So luckily I had like kind of a head start working with different YouTubers. I've even done a couple of thumbnails for LinkyBox. So that was pretty cool, I guess. That's probably the biggest YouTuber I've made thumbnails for. I also started branching out and like posting my stuff more. So now I started doing like IRL type stuff and other things. Some of my favorites to make are like documentary thumbnails, because they just always turn out pretty cool. Pretty much every person I work for pays in a different way or pays a different amount depending on what it is they're wanting. I got some people who pay me per thumbnail, some people who pay me monthly, just a flat rate. But yeah, it's gotten to the point where it's pretty much almost getting there to like a full-time job. I still do thumbnails now, but I low-key kind of had to slow down because I just started my YouTube channel and all that. It's kind of crazy to me though that when I started back when I was like 11 years old, I was charging like $2 per thumbnail back then, basically getting scammed for child labor. And what's funny is that same person coincidentally found me again because I was making thumbnails now, and now he offered to pay me like $175 per thumbnail. That same person. So yeah, thumbnail inflation has gone up like crazy. And speaking of that, it is like pretty oversaturated now. I mean, there's a lot of people doing thumbnail designs now. But yeah, I got pretty lucky because back when I started, it wasn't really a thing. But now I think people realize how valuable thumbnails actually are. So now it's like an actual thing that people do now. That is one thing though that I think a lot of people don't really understand. I mean, a thumbnail is like arguably one of the most important parts of a YouTube video. If your thumbnail is bad, people aren't going to want to watch your video. And I don't just mean looks either. Like a good thumbnail can be a bad looking thumbnail, but a good thumbnail is basically made to attract people to your video. So it doesn't matter if it looks good or looks bad. The goal is basically just to hook people into the video. That's why people pay so much now, because I mean, a good thumbnail can like literally 3 times your views in revenue.
We probably spend around $5,000 to $10,000 a thumbnail. Just make sure you get the right image and it's good, because like the thumbnail makes the difference between 50 million views or 200 million. So,
and how many thumbnails per episode? Or per video?
Around 3.
Yeah.
I also don't think people or YouTubers really realize how long they take too, or how long they can take. I mean, sometimes I'll spend multiple hours on a thumbnail, and for something that's like really complex, I might spend like 6 to 8 hours, because I mean, sometimes they have 3D assets. You got to pay attention to like all these little details, make sure they all look good. And then on top of that, a lot of YouTubers will ask for like several different variations that they can test with. If you're someone who's new and looking for some sort of side hustle within like the YouTube space, video editing might be a little bit better because it's probably a little bit more consistent. You can get more work done. And then also I think people kind of just value it a little bit more than thumbnails, even though you are spending more time doing it. But I mean, in my case, in my experience, I mean, because I started so early, honestly, I'm about to put thumbnail design in like S tier, bro. I mean, honestly, I attribute a lot of success on YouTube here because of thumbnail design and like all the things I've learned from it. Before we get into the last one, I want to give a couple honorable mentions because low-key, I just forgot to put them in the video. But first up, we got creating artwork. Now, I've pretty much been drawing all of my life, and here and there, I've sold commissions every once in a while. The thing about drawing and just making artwork in general, though, is that understandably, not everyone wants to spend a bunch of money on like basically just an image. But at the same time, it takes so much time to put in work into a drawing that's naturally probably going to cost a lot of money. So that makes the market of finding people who are willing to commission artists kind of difficult. Sometimes there are more practical uses for artwork. Like for example, I've made a lot of album covers in the past, so people are more willing to buy stuff like that rather than just trying to buy a cool looking image. While I do love making art just as a hobby, from my experience, making art for the purpose of money is just really difficult. And at the same time, if you do want to get any chance of getting customers, you're probably going to have to undercharge yourself. However, there is definitely potential. Like if you're creative enough, you could probably figure out ways to make money from it. But compared to everything else we got on the list, I might have to put this at like a C tier. The last thing I wanted to mention real quick is actually making Fortnite maps. Now Fortnite has this creative mode feature where you can make your own like maps and stuff and publish them, and you can actually get paid for these maps. Now back whenever creative mode pretty much first came out, I actually made like 2 maps. I think each of those maps probably took like a day to make, and just by publishing on some random website, I gained like over $180 worth of money just from people using my supported creator code from the map. Literally one of my biggest life regrets is not continuing with making Fortnite maps. Now it's evolved so much where you got people like making entire games out of Fortnite, and now there's so many more ways to get paid. So like people are literally making millions of dollars a month from it. I genuinely think that if I didn't quit making Fortnite maps back then, I could probably be a millionaire by now. So low key, I mean, I'm gonna put this one at like an A tier. All right, so this last one that we got, also the one that I've probably made the most amount of money from so far, we got creating YouTube content. So as I said back before, I started making videos when I was like around 8 years old, and I've had so many different channels covering different things like Minecraft videos, drawing videos, Call of Duty videos, music stuff, and all different kinds of things. For a while, the most successful thing I had going on YouTube was actually with this one channel where I was making Call of Duty Zombies type content, and that was back when I was like around 10 to 13 years old. And what was crazy is I actually kind of made a name for myself within the community too. I mean, dude, I had a pretty big community considering my channel size of only like 3,000 subs, and for being a little kid, I mean, I think that's pretty cool that I was able to do that. I had some videos that did pretty good too, but I mean, I wasn't making really like any money at the time. Eventually I stopped doing that channel and I took a couple years off to do some other things. But fast forward a little bit over a year ago, I started the channel that I have now, 808 Savion, and pretty much almost instantly that channel took off. With the first video I uploaded, I think I had like 1.5 thousand views, which isn't a lot, but I mean, to me at the time, for that being my first video and not doing YouTube in a while, I was pretty impressed with that. Basically, my goal of creating this channel was to take all the knowledge I've gained from making thumbnails and just kind of being in the YouTube space and seeing how much of that I could actually apply to doing YouTube myself. And by the time I uploaded my second video on that channel, that video has reached like, I think like 350,000 views by now. And from that point, it just kept going up from there. Low-key, from talking to like friends and stuff, I think a lot of people think that YouTubers make a lot more money from YouTube than they actually do. I mean, the money's like okay, I guess. For me personally, with my videos, I probably make around, I'd say like $2.50 to like $5 per 1,000 views, usually around the $3 or $4 mark. The thing that I personally didn't realize though when I first started was how much sponsorships pay, and that's where the real money comes in. Now that I'm starting to get a little bit more consistent views with my channel, I'm starting to get more like sponsorship opportunities from different companies and stuff. And for making a 60-second advertisement and throwing that into your YouTube video, some of these companies will pay like between $1,000 and $3,000. And keep in mind, I'm a relatively pretty small channel as well, and from what I've heard, some bigger YouTubers can literally make like tens of thousands of dollars from brand deals. I do not know how they are profiting off of this, but I mean, hey, I'm not going to complain. I have to say though, there are definitely some cons. The first that comes to mind is that once you start your channel, there is no stopping. I have experienced and seen so many people who try to take vacations or breaks, and then when they return, they expect everyone to be welcoming them back, and then for the rest of their channel, they get absolutely no views. So if you ever start a channel, just know that you are going to be doing that for the rest of your life or until you decide to stop. Another thing that kind of sucks is how unstable YouTube is. I mean, there's months where I'll make like $3,000, and then the next month I'll make like 500. One time I posted a video that like actually was my worst performing video I had on the channel yet. At that point, I thought it was just over, bro. Like, I thought my shit was cooked. And then the next video I dropped, that was the best performing video I had on the channel yet. And then the video after that I posted, that video kind of low-key flopped for a while. And then after a week or two, it finally started going up and doing pretty good. And then YouTube decided to take down the entire video and give me a strike on the channel. So yeah, moral of the story, always have some sort of backup plan. I mean, I personally know people who have been like going crazy on YouTube YouTube and then randomly their channel just gets deleted. All in all though, I really can't complain. I mean, being a YouTuber is pretty much like everyone's childhood dream. So the fact that I get like a taste of that is just pretty fucking awesome. But yeah, at least where I am now, I'm gonna have to put YouTube at an A tier. But yeah, y'all, let me know in the comments what side hustles y'all have tried, because I am very interested to see how y'all be making the bag. Also, I just wanted to say thanks for all the support lately on the channel, and especially on the last video too. If any of y'all are new here, feel free to drop a sub for some more videos. And yeah, y'all, peace.